on Four Seas One Family, where we share thoughts and opinions concerning life in Taiwan, the regions, and the world. I'm the host, James Thomas, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan, and I'm so glad to have you traveling along with me on this journey, and welcome to the show. Hey, look, presidential election is coming up in the States, and well, I'm here in Taiwan, and I want to share my thoughts with others who may be joining us here about the elections going on, the election going on in the United States. And because I'm out here in Taiwan, I'm really a lot more concerned about it than most Americans in the United States, I would say, even though there's a lot of struggles in the States that people have to go through. And it's rough. I mean, we understand the situation and history behind Mr. T there, Donald Trump, and we also know about the background of Mr. Biden with, some of the things he went through in the past. And, it's kind of hard, to put who you're going to put your bets on. And me being out here in Taiwan and knowing other Americans out here, it's a topic that we're talking about because we have the next door neighbors, mainland China, flying their planes into the airspace here and making Taiwan quite itchy. Now, the United States also sold quite a bit of military hardware to Taiwan in two big lumps, 1.2 billion, and now it's like 2-point-something billion. It's quite scary. So look at this. I'm seeing I'm on my other machine here. I'm sending my own self subtitles here. I don't think I need to see my own subtitles. Let's turn that off. But it's quite scary and shaky. And I just want to see what some other American expats out here in Asia have to say about it. And also some Americans that are, should be waking up right now on the East Coast. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's a little shaky here. Now, if you are a member of the community we have here in the Expat Roundtable or in the Taiwan podcasting group, or if you're on my Facebook page, I'm streaming to all three places at the same time. Just send me a message, and if you're vetted, if I know who you are, I'll let you come in here and say what you want to say, or just leave a message up here and I pop it up on the screen. But this is really shaking me because we all know the history and all about, grab them by the what by 45. And that shakes up quite a few people, shook me up in the sense of having a person like this who's supposed to be leading one of the biggest nations in the world. Okay, look, I'm going to bring somebody in here real quick. Let me invite somebody in here. Hold on for a second. Okay, just click on that. Now, you're going to be in the waiting room, and when I see you get in the waiting room, I'll let you in here. But look, the story about him in 2016. I'm a New Yorker, so I have you can say, I'm one of the Americans that have a pretty long relationship with Mr. Trump. He's done a lot of things, and a lot of things that he's done from the community I come from in the South Bronx, down near Yankee Stadium, haven't left a lot of good impressions. But look, nevertheless, he is the president right now, and he promised to build a wall. He also promised that the United States will not be paying for it. But let's put that to the side right now because I'm moving at the speed of light. The other thing is we know that Biden, he has made some comments over the years that, people are allowed to grow. But he's made some comments over the years that were quite controversial and not too good to not only people of color, but also for people who are in needs of income and stuff like that. But this recent situation with Hunter Biden, I cannot but fear that he has been in some ways compromised. I mean, it's quite interesting when you can have your dad be the vice president of the United States and travel with him and do business. Wow, that's a pair of shoes that a lot of people wish they can fill. And this is something that is bothering me, and I just want to see what everybody else think on this topic. So let's see. Okay. Okay. Um, okay, I'm gonna let somebody jump in here with me. I got Christopher Young, and I'll let him tell you about himself. Let me jump in here. How you doing, Chris? How are you?
Good. How about yourself? Good to
Hey,
finally make it.
thanks for jumping in here. I really appreciate you taking the time out your day. It's about what, 10:21 p.m. here, Taiwan time. And I know you probably heard my blurb there just now, but I'm kind of shaken up because most people from where I come from, they have a certain feeling about 45. I mean, it was back in the rap days, people were talking about 45 like they wanted to be him because of the proudness of the cash he carried. But being from New York, I know about the stories about how people who are dealing with, home inequities or housing problems had to go through when dealing with Mr. Trump. Now, also, this recent news, well, leading up to now, I'm not going to talk about the other recent history. I don't want to mention Charlotte right now, stuff like that. But the history of Biden, his background, of course, is shaky. And now I just mentioned that, with Hunter, his son being compromised, of course, and there's dealings about some dis of supposed to be what photos of Hunter being given over to Giuliani by maybe about a part of members of a CCP government. I really don't know. So let me hear what you got to say about this, and I'll shut up because I'm really I'm shaking.
Okay. Well, my initial thoughts have been have hold on a second. I've got a little bit of an echo here.
I'm sorry,
No,
but
no,
you
no.
sound good
That's all right.
here. You sound good here.
Okay. All right. I'm wondering if I can.
I don't know. That's why we need things called headphones.
Yeah, I've got that. I'm seeing these are without touting a brand. These glasses have a headphone in them,
Oh,
so I can hear it through.
not sponsored yet. Okay, that's all right. Okay.
Exactly. But I'm getting a little bit of an echo, but I'll go through it. I'm not too familiar working backward from your presentation. I'm not too familiar with all of the accusations regarding Hunter Biden and the laptop. I have heard things that suggest that the laptop might even be faked.
Hmm.
I had the certainly if it's not the the conditions under which the laptop surfaced are rather suspect at best. I could think of elementary school kids that would have better security with their devices than that. That
Right.
would be able to hide their stuff in folders and I mean I know teens that would hide their nudie mags better than that. So it's hard
Are
to
you talking about
imagine
me?
if the shoe fits. But it's just hard to imagine that in spite of whatever problems he may have had and whatnot, it's hard to imagine that someone with his background, with the supervision that he still continues to get because the whole vice presidential family is still subject to Secret Service protection, even from the Obama administration. So it's hard to imagine that he would have to go to great lengths to make sure that that data was handed over and unprotected in order for it to reach those.
Hmm.
That's it's a little bit of a stretch. True or not? If the content is true, then then he himself needs to be answerable and scrutinized on that. It's not a reflection on Joe Biden any more than all of Donald Trump's kids
Hmm.
uh, indiscretions are a reflection of his dad. So in that case, they are.
So you're questioning this information. I mean, yes, he supposed to have left this MacBook Pro at a technician, And usually, if you're somebody like Hunter Trump, you probably have someone else bring it over to the technician, to the Apple Center, whatever they brought it over to. You not bring it yourself, and also forget to pick it up. I mean, I wouldn't forget to leave my cell phone anywhere. Talking about my MacBook Pro, so but that is kind of scary. But what I'm sensing is that you may be questioning that this could possibly be just a setup, because there is words out there saying, oh, this is a Russian collusion, whatever, this and that type of deal. So you really question that to some bit?
I don't know the stories that are going on about the Russian angle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not well read on it. I'm only speaking from the standpoint of someone who tries their best to put themselves in the shoes of another person. And, I would have a hard enough time uh, trying to place a device with sensitive data without the scrutiny of like my spouse or my family or whatnot, who would say, Are you really going to leave that lap? Is it password protected? Do they need your password?" Someone would confront me. And Hunter Biden is under the auspices of the U.S. Secret Service. The Biden, whether Joe Biden wins or not, the Biden family will be under the protection of the U.S. Secret Service for the rest of the lives of anyone who was involved with the Obama administration. So it doesn't gel to me that even if he had a complete lapse of judgment, that it could filter through all of those different channels and still find its way to a tech guy out of state.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the story has a lot of holes for me.
Okay, well, okay, it's legit. It's legit, but also, I've been hearing from my other, American friends and other, the Canadians in the North, saying to me, James, you have to separate what's happening from his son to what Mr. Biden is doing.
Oh, right.
Just
Just the
like,
way that we're always asked.
yeah, I mean, well, okay, I lost your audio there a little bit. I lost your audio a little bit. Okay, we got a little technical problem there. I lost his audio. I lost your audio there. Can you hear me? Okay, I lost your audio there a little bit, but I'll let you try to figure that out. Can you hear me?
All right, because you're back now.
Okay, there you go. I lost you a little bit. Yeah, go ahead, continue. I lost you your last segment.
I didn't elaborate too much. I had just been saying that along those lines that any public figure whose children also have an indiscretion, the sides that support those go to great pains to make sure that the sins of one generation are not visited on the other. It seems to happen a little bit more on 45 side than it does
Mm-hmm.
on in others. But the same pills that we're asked to swallow when something happens in that are need to be applied in this case as well.
Okay. So what okay. So it's good to have apprehension because it keeps you up on your toes, and also it keeps you quite aware that there's other things that can be happening that you don't foresee, whatever. But yeah, okay. So I've been talking to some other Americans and North Americans, Canadians, whatever, and they say you separate what his son did and from what Biden is trying to do now.
Right.
Then I mentioned, well, are you telling me the same thing? We should separate with 45 and his family, who was in the White House, nepotism that's called actually. Actually, it's nepotism on both sides. I'm talking about both 45 and 44V, I'll call them that. Because, you and us, we're just the normal folks, but we're not right now in the U.S. And this has to do with the topic what I want to talk about. And getting perspective from Americans who live overseas, especially here in Taiwan, though, because a lot of people are not aware, especially Americans. Basically, you probably they hear about Taiwan, how great it did with this COVID-19 or Guanzhangbingdu or CCP virus, whatever you want to call it, and that's the news right now. So people now understand we're not in Thailand, we're in Taiwan, but we have these planes flying from, the PLA planes flying over here, and Taiwan has got their sorties flying up, flying in the air, every 6 to 12 hours trying to chase them out the airspace. This kind of makes some Americans living out here quite nervous. The longer you lived out here as a foreigner, you probably get used to it. But for some of the new folks here, they're quite nervous, and they're asking me questions like, what are you going to do, James? Does this happen? Have you heard anything about that, like on that line with other foreign nationals here, especially?
I'm I keep up with some of the news, some perspectives that some of the foreign community have when some of these headlines break. As you said, the PLAF are always in the airspace. What just a one sentence aside, what I find interesting is that while they try to say that they don't that Taiwan is their airspace and they can't be stopped from flying, but at the same time, every time Taiwan scrambles something to go answer it, they go boogieing. And so every single day they're actually reinforcing the legitimacy of the Taiwan air defensive line. And so they have more by exponents of dozens more than previous years. They have all of these new examples of times that they had to skedaddle because they crossed the line. They're actually creating an entire case book for offenses against Taiwan sovereignty.
So the
So
more they
it's the more they do, yeah, they're digging themselves in a deeper hole each time they do it, in my opinion.
so the more they put disruptions for Taiwan, the more publicity they're helping Taiwan bring up. I mean, that's just what it is. And maybe in some ways this can be one of those unexpected type of pleasures that Taiwan may end up with, because of some hardship, something comes out, 因难得福. Okay, but how about this then? Being that, let's come back to this in a few minutes, but going back to what's going on in the States, do you think this situation between 45 and 46V, 45 and 44V, will it change anything for us living out here in Taiwan? Do you think, regardless who comes through the next day with the most votes, do you see anything or much out here will change, especially with the current status quo?
Frankly, I don't. I don't see a lot of change from the current the current president and Mr. Biden should he win this election. I think that many of the decisions that comes to U.S. military and made by people who know more about the the scene, know about the history than either candidate does. I say
Okay.
that
I'm getting
once
choppy of you. Maybe you on Wi-Fi or something, but I'm getting chop. I'm sorry.
okay, maybe I can let me try
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
bring
just
this.
the whole last
It
couple of
might be
paragraphs I lost of you. I hear you now adjusting it.
am I a little clearer now?
Gotcha.
Okay, it might have been a proximity to the microphone issue. Okay, so I think it's not a stretch to imagine that 45 doesn't know where Taiwan is on a map. So I think that even if his interest in supporting Taiwan is well-meaning, it's certainly more the administration and more with figures in the Defense Department that are making these decisions and that are uh, making judgments in this regard than 45. And I think that will continue to be the case even if Joe Biden becomes 46. I don't see a lot of difference. I think Joe Biden might be more up to date and more up to speed on matters the the Southeast Asian, the Pacific. But I don't think that every president has to be briefed on these things,
Yeah.
and they don't just wake up in bed with their fingers on the pulse of what's going on in the world. So I think it's just a matter of what they'll do with that information. I can just imagine that 45 has had sort of a you deal with it uh, attitude about it, and if anything, Biden might be slightly more proactive, if if less bellicose.
Less better call. Well, okay. Just talk a little bit more, a little about what's going on in the region right now. We have
Mhm.
so-called drills between the United States. Excuse me, I should say with United States and Japan going on at the moment to our northeast right now, and then there's next month we'll have the Quad Alliance also doing drills out here. That's the United States,
Mhm.
Australia, India, and I think also Japan is also part of the Quad Alliance. Do you think that will deter? Well, we know what it's there for right now. We know what they're going through at the present time because the election and
Correct.
right off the coast here, we got the United States and Japan getting ready to play ping pong to show the other players in mainland China what's going on. But do you think that will be these alliances that are now coming up? I mean, we understand the situation between China and what's going on in Australia, for example. They're going through some battles right now, and do you think these type of reawakening of smaller nations in Southeast Asia will be much of a deterrent to calm down the dragon next door?
I think the current referring to Operation Keen Sword, which is
Kings.
also incorporates a small element of the Canadian Navy as well. I they Let me gather my thought for a second. I think that they are here in order to stabilize things during the U.S.'s unstable election period. They began the exercises on October 26th, and
Okay.
from what I read, their plans on when to end they left open ended.
Okay.
So,
Oh.
so not exactly 48 hours from now will be closing things. They're doing a little bit of a wait and see period. They've got 9,000 U.S. personnel in the area, which is a pretty significant number. If you park 9,000 U.S. military anywhere that didn't want them, they'd say, hey, let's see some paperwork on this. So so I think it's a very deliberate sign that some powers that be are keeping their finger on what's going on, whether the administration themselves
Hmm.
are distracted or not.
Wow. I didn't know Canada jumped in there, but it is. I see me personally. I see it more as a reawakening because they have been warned. I'm talking about they. I'm talking about especially Australia. They have been warned, but the influx of money that's coming into these some of the nations in Southeast Asia or in Australia has been quite vast, quite encompassing. I did an episode about 2 days ago about the Confucius Institute and how many especially schools in the West, were in need of doing something innovative and bringing in income or foreign students and stuff like that, and how China is using subversion methods to actually change the minds or try to change the perceptions of itself. What else do you see besides I just mentioned the Confucius Institute? What have you noticed? Anything unique about how the neighbors next door are trying to use, how would you say, other nations' conveniences? I'm talking about laws, talking about financial practices to try to bring up their image on a global scale, and sometimes, in some cases, to change history.
You're talking about Taiwan's neighbors in the
I'm
region?
talking about the neighbor next door, mainland China.
The neighbor, oh, the neighbor. I don't think that they see themselves as even trying to have sway over the international legal environment of it, that other countries are following. They themselves are so quick to dismiss when those things apply to them.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Hong Kong, the Sino-British Joint Declaration is now, which was only in 1997,
Right.
which is a long time if we're talking about music, but not a long time if we're talking about the rights of another nation,
Right.
and that is now considered, what do they call it, a quaint historical document.
Yeah.
That with no modern relevance. So as far as the image they want to project, any kind of agreement that I believe they're trying to project the idea that any agreement they enter into is unstable, that they control the dialogue, they control the narrative, and if they sign a piece of paper, it's their prerogative whether they will follow it or not. They want, I
I see.
believe they want contracts to be meaningless because they want to control the region with the fear that's associated with their unpredictability.
Okay, you said something key. The fear of their
Unpredictability.
predictability. That is something
Hmm.
that's heavy right there. That's heavy right
It's
there.
heavy on the necks of the Taiwanese people.
Yes, and what's happening right now in Hong Kong, people here are aware, and they're too cool for
Mhm.
me. This is the scary thing. People here in Taiwan are just so cool,
I,
because they're probably
the
used to it, or
silence on Hong Kong issue has been deafening.
or is it possible that people here have become numb?
There's a complacency, normalcy effect, like, or what's that, normalcy bias.
Mm-hmm. Well, the time is
Any
this is
of
this
those
is the
things get a little.
reality it is right now. But
That's right.
and
Oh,
bringing this
just a
point up
little
again.
footnote.
Yeah.
The HMCS Winnipeg, 338. It's a Canadian Halifax frigate. That's
Mm. Oh, you found it.
a sword. Yes.
Oh, so that it's quite far for Canada to be out here, but I guess it's a way of keeping in training, because now
Well,
they're not only training like because this, if I'm not wrong, I think this exercise scheduled for every 2 years, but now they're going to other branches, which includes more on cyber warfare, which is it's quite
I think
interesting
that's what
there.
the
And
placement of the frigate is about. The frigate is probably all connected with all of the intelligence gathering technology that they need in order to sort of plug in and say, okay, when you guys say you have a problem, we just want to make sure that all of our protocols are correct. They're not, I doubt they're really involved in active combat exercises like the Japanese in the United States, but they probably want to make sure they're on the same page from an intelligence gathering standpoint.
understood. Well, look, I don't want to keep you up here too long, but I do
No,
want to
I'm
make a
good. But
comment.
if you might have a little line going on there.
Well, excuse me, is it a line? What you say?
A line of other correspondents that might like to talk to you.
No, I see people down here, but I don't know who they are, so I'm not going to let them in. They're in the waiting room down here, but I'm not going to wait and let them in. But and plus, it's coming up on 11 o'clock here. I don't want to keep you up, but I do want to make one last comment, and this is more for me on a personal basis because I'm dealing with quite a few Americans, North Americans, that who live in mainland China, who are always peeping out that the rest of the world's picking on China. I mean, it really bothers me that they live there, but they're not able in some ways to comment on things that they see obviously having around them that's wrong, the world's, or what China is doing wrong. Have you faced anything like that, or have you ever come across anyone like that?
Not too much. I did have a guy the other day who told me that I was talking out of my arse when I was commenting on the amount of religious freedom that mainland Chinese citizens may or may not be enjoying. And when I wrote him back in Chinese, that seemed to end the conversation. I don't know why. But by use of his arts, I'm assuming he's from the UK or Australia. But I did that I my I probably don't have as much run in with that as you might, or some other people who are a little more active on social media on the subject. But I think that it's become pretty clear to us, especially in the last 4 years, that many Americans are subject to their own confirmation biases and their own susceptibility to logical fallacies, and it's sometimes the power that is used when that kind of misinformation is given out, particularly by the CCP and 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 by their media outlets and whatnot. I think for many people abroad that that kind of narrative framing is familiar, and and they don't see themselves able to fight back against the hypocrisy of standing up to that, yet at the same time also be able to look inward on their own political views and their own values that they may have surrendered in the current political climate, especially in their own home countries.
Yeah, and also in the current environment that they're in, and well, if they say one thing wrong, they'll get booted. Look,
That's right.
Chris, I got 5 people down here, but I'm not going to let them in because I really don't know the identity of 3 of them. The other ones I don't. They're jumping in and out. But look, Chris, thank you very much for jumping in here. I'm going to wrap it up here. And anything else you want to say before we close the door?
Well, I wish your viewership success. I hope our native land can resolve these election issues peacefully and rationally, and may the best man win.
Yeah, the best man, and mal and ma'am and gal. Thanks you very much,
That's
Chris.
right.
Thank you for being here. We're going to shut down here, and everyone who's watching, yes, wish the best for the next few hours. And for us out here in Taiwan, yes, just keep looking forward and keep our eyes open. Take care, everybody.
That's right.
Ciao,
Stay safe,
ciao.
James.
Stay safe, Chris. 再见。
再见.